Recently, I watched videos of two different creators talking about mental health, and the conclusion I drew from watching them is that I suck. Welcome to Hi, I'm Tim. No, hang on, how do I start? See, I can't do anything right. Welcome to the Mental Health Podcast. I'm Tim, and I invite you to join me on my journey to talk about men's mental health. Before we begin, as always, a brief disclaimer. I am in no shape or form a mental health professional, or any professional of any kind. I'm just an amateur trying to talk about their mental health in a way that doesn't really matter. Does it? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It certainly isn't my place or my job to decide. Well, my viewer and listener account tells the story actually, but where am I going with this? What am I trying to say? Well, let me go back a bit again. I've recently watched Philosopher Tube, Abigail's video about her experience in an abusive relationship, and I compared that to the episode I did when I talked about my experience being in an abusive relationship, and well, she did such a much better job than me, which, why am I then bothering? And then I've watched another podcast, I listened to it and also watched some of the video, which is called We Are Man Enough, which is also a great podcast about men's mental health and men's growth. And they had a guest on, many guests on, and a listener and viewership of 50,000 people, and they do a great job. So does it need me? Does it need anyone then? Because if they already do it, why should I? And if other people are so good at something that you want to do, or that you're trying to be good at but feel like you're not good enough, then why should you bother? Should you maybe just give up and feel bad about yourself? Well, obviously I think that that's true for me, but I certainly don't think that that's true for you, because I don't think we need to be the best at everything, or the only one, or even the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh best at something to be good enough. But this is something that a lot of people, and also a lot of men, experience. And this sounds always like men and people. No, actually also a lot of women and people who are non-binary and any other group, but this is a podcast about men specifically, or particularly, so that's why I say men and other people, because I don't want to always say men and women, because there's more than just women out there and more than just men. See, I'm already failing again. I can't do it right. And this is what a lot of people experience, and a lot of men experience. They're just not good enough. We are not good enough. And why is that? Well, let's look at some things men don't feel good enough. Well, a lot of men feel not good enough at work, which, is, for me, maybe not the most logical first thing, because I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyways, a lot of men don't feel good enough at work, and it is an important factor for a lot of people, because, one, we spend the majority of our life at work, or preoccupied with work, or preparing to be at work, or talking about work, and then it makes sense that that is something that is very important to us. A lot of people take value out of their work and worth for themselves out of their work. But for one, a lot of people don't get paid enough, don't have the feedback from people that are their superiors that they're doing a good job, or their jobs aren't appreciated because we don't value them enough. And if you then don't feel good enough about something that you either perceive as something that is very important to you, or that you perceive as something that should be important to you, or other people think is important to define you as who you are and your worth, well, it's not good, is it? To not feel good enough about that. So relationships, something that people feel are not good enough because either they can't give enough to the other person, be it their romantic partner or their friend. And I certainly feel like it. I certainly feel like, because I get overwhelmed very quickly when people message me, or when people want to hang out with me, that I can't fulfill the quota that is, required of me to be a good enough friend. And with some people feel the same with their romantic partner, and I did in the past too, and sometimes still do when I need my space for me. But then if I take my space, then I'm not with my partner, and how would they feel about it? Rejected, so I'm not good enough again. This has changed now because we talk about it, and it's okay to have your own boundaries, and you need your space. And there's compromises to be taken. This is how all relationships are compromises, but not being good enough in a relationship is also something that we get reflected back, because it tells us who we are as people, and we take a lot of value and a lot of energy out of the relationships we have with other people. But if we don't have any, or if we feel like we're not good enough for other people, or we're not good enough friends, partners, whatever with those people, then again that makes us feel very, very shit about ourselves. Many people and men also feel like they're not good enough when it comes to sex. They're either not lasting long enough, or not perceptive enough, or they don't have enough sex, or they're not successful enough when it comes to having enough sexual partners, or getting with the people that they want to be with, which then think they're not good enough for these people because they're not appealing, not attractive enough, whichever. And because again, that's something that we build up. Sex is very important to us in our society. If you don't have enough sex, especially as a man, then you suck. If you have too much sex as a woman, you suck too. So that's a different story. So you're not good enough. If you're bad in bed, you're not good enough, whether or not someone gives you feedback or not, doesn't matter. Or if you are just not attractive enough, then, because we all need to be super attractive to a very arbitrary standard that some very few people may have set, and keep shoveling down our throat to be, this is the only thing that's attractive, and if you don't fulfill these criteria, then you're not good enough. Lastly, well, maybe not lastly, but the last thing that I could think of, that people don't feel good enough, is as parents. And some people don't care, and some people care a lot, and we're shaping lives here, and could I ever be, this is now my personal experience or my personal fears, can I ever be a good enough parent so that I don't mess up this person's life, or that I give enough for them so that they can have a good life, or that I love them enough so they can have healthy relationships later, and all these other spheres where I just feel like I am not good enough, and other people agree they don't feel good enough. And the list goes on and on. And of course, in some of these areas, maybe we're not good enough. But in some areas we are, but still feel and or are being told we are not good enough. But who sets these criteria? Where's the bar that works with this is good enough or this is not good enough? You take cues from other people. But other people have different energy levels, they have a different experience, different ways to be. And especially some people are louder than others and dominate whole conversations, whole topics about things. When it comes to relationships, there's some people that, are out online narrating their, and I'm sorry to be frank here, their bullshit about what we need to be in a relationship in order for it to be good and healthy. We need to have this amount of sex, otherwise, it's not a healthy, good relationship, and then you might as well break up. You need to, your kids need to behave this way in order to reflect back on you as being a good parent. You need to perform this well at work, and if you don't, by age 40, minimum earn and own all of this, then you're just not good enough and you might as well give up already. So those are all narratives that are being made very public and online, and some of them are just being regurgitated again and again and again without even thinking about what people regurgitate here and who and where it's originating from. And the problem is that we tend to believe these narratives because we are not told that they are just individuals' narratives. Your life is your life, and you're good enough, full stop. You are good enough if you are, doing your best or doing what you can do. Sometimes it's not your best, but it's all you can do in that moment, and that is fucking good enough. But we are not, and this goes back to the episode where I talk about emotional intelligence, where we don't teach people, and especially men, to be able to self-regulate, to be able to communicate healthily, both boundaries and your own and other people, and to question things. And also where we don't, and this is not emotional intelligence, but general educational intelligence, where we not really being taught to question the narratives we are being presented with for their authenticity and their validity for my own life. I'm being presented with all of these stories of how I'm supposed to live, but that's other people's lives, that's not my life. Do I really need to do this? Do I really need to adhere to these rules where I need to, by this age, have to make this money, by this age need to be in this form of a relationship, and by this age need to have this many kids, and these kids need to perform this well in the end, and if I don't fulfill all of these, then I fail and I'm not good enough? If I'm not excelling as a man in school in science and math, and then don't become some form of high achiever at a technical job or engineer or whatever, or IT person, then I deserve not having good enough living standards because I didn't fulfill that role. Even though, if all of us men were good at emotional stuff and being educators, then probably they would earn a lot of money. But they don't, because it's not seen as valuable, which again is bullshit. And it's hurting so many people, not that we are creating these boxes for ourselves and for each other that we then don't fit into. And I don't understand. It's not like, and this, maybe I'm naive, but there's no higher force that tells us that we humans do this to each other. We could just stop. Let's just stop calling each other out and calling each other not good enough, or telling other people how to live their lives, or telling other people they're not good enough, or they're not, their identities are invalid. Miss person that's a highly J.K. Rowling, basically. I try to, there's a bit more, be a bit more mysterious of who I could mean, but I meant her because I'm not good enough to make it mysterious. I'm not as good a writer as she, and she's, a highly successful author. If we measure success by how many books are sold, which is, it's a valid criteria to measure people on, authors, because people enjoy those books anyways, but she's invalidating a lot of people's existence, and she sucks for that. But it seems like the people around her aren't telling her that she's hurting vulnerable people, and even the people that she's trying to protect. Because we've created this system where if you're successful and deemed good enough, you can do whatever the fuck you want and shit on all the people below you. Because we as humans seem to be adamant that we should be miserable, and instead of helping each other and creating a system in which we are all deemed valuable and good enough and can live happy lives, we've created both political and financial systems and societal systems, so three, I'm not good enough, sorry, in which we tell people, well, no, you are not good enough and you have to achieve minimum this standard to be deemed a good enough human. And if as a man you're not rich and haven't fucked at least 100 women or ever fucked a man, then no, you're not good enough and you should suffer. As a woman, you fuck too many men or are not a good mother or don't want children or want to achieve the same rights as men or are adamant about achieving the same rights, so you are someone that as a woman is just as strong-willed as a man, then you're not good enough and you should suffer? Like, what the hell? Why are we doing this to each other? Why are we creating systems that make us miserable? That doesn't seem good, does it? But of course we can't just change the system or the systems, because it's basically all of them. Weird. But what can we do? Well, for one, we could tell other people they're good enough and they're great and we love them and they're valuable. But for some reason, mostly women tend to say that to each other or their kids or their partners. But that's great, obviously. Sorry, came across wrong. It's great that women do that. We can't just let women do all the work here, guys. You tell your friends, you tell yourself, you tell your colleagues that they're good enough. And you don't let the people in power, I mean politically, wealth-wise, but also thought leaders, people that create narratives, tell you that you need to achieve some arbitrary goal that they have achieved in order to be good enough, in order to have managed to unlock the next level of happiness. Happiness comes from being content with who you are and with having people around you who you can share experiences with and love with. And I need to learn this too. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this episode, when I watch other creators, I feel I am the worst. And yes, I'm not perfect, I'm not great, I need to learn more, I need to get better, but I also work a full-time job whilst doing this. I also try to maintain mentally stable. I try to maintain some form of relationships with other people. I try to write a novel when I've written a novel and try to write the next one now and get the other one published at some point and have other creative projects. So yeah, I should cut myself some slack that I am good enough for what I'm doing and who I am and what I can do, because I'm doing my best. So I am good enough. God damn it. And you tell me that too, down in the comments or via message at tim-men-tell-health.com or mentalhealth_podcast on Instagram, YouTube comments on the website. Just reach out to me and then I'll tell you in person that you are good enough. Or come on the show and we tell each other in person. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be lovely? Let's do that. And sorry about this rant. This was more a rant than an episode, but I hope you can take something away from it anyways. And I hope you feel heard and seen, if not from me, because I try to. But message me if you don't, or message me if you do, but also from the people around you. People that love you and they care for you. And if you don't feel like you have anyone at the moment, or you don't, then I can only encourage you to reach out and to be sincere and kind. and people may come. I wish you that they do. Because we all are deserving of love. We all are deserving of feeling that we are good enough. So, yeah. If you like this rant, or if you don't, give it a rating. Or if you don't, maybe don't give it a rating because it would be bad. Or do, because I do appreciate honest feedback. If you want to hear more, check out all the other episodes or subscribe via YouTube with the subscribe button and the bell, or on all the other podcasting apps. And yeah, I see and I hear you, and I hope you hear and or see me again next week. Goodbye. This is Editing Tim. See, I told you I'm not good enough. Part of the episode was deleted, so past the whole J.K. Rowling thing, I said a lot more. I said a lot more about how we need to be better, and we need to create different surroundings where we can help people that are treating other people badly better, and also help other people that are doing good things more, and just help men be more in tune with their feelings and be able to share those feelings without telling them that they're wrong in the way they do it, because it's nothing wrong being masculine. Anyways, I talked a lot more, but it's all gone. So this was the gist. Maybe I'll put it into another episode at some point, but yeah, this is why the episode is more scattered and also maybe not as long. I don't know how long I'll manage to make it in the end, but yeah. Sorry about that. I guess I need to practice not deleting stuff. Anyways, goodbye.